Okay, so you've been hearing a ton about AI lately, and for good reason, it's blowing up right now.
Absolutely.
And we got to talk about GPT-4.
Of course, yeah.
But we're doing something a little different on this deep dive. We're going behind the scenes with Sébastien Bubeck,
Yeah.
who got early access to this tech.
And he had a really unique perspective going into this.
What's so interesting about him?
Well, he went into this whole thing as a skeptic.
Okay.
He's a mathematician, a professor at Princeton, no less, and now a lead researcher at Microsoft.
Wow.
This isn't some, tech person who's just easily excited by the next shiny thing.
Right.
This is someone who's published a ton in super hardcore math.
Yeah, this isn't hype.
Exactly.
So he doesn't just call GPT-4, a cool piece of tech. He actually uses the term, are you ready for this? Sparks of AGI.
Mm-hmm.
Artificial General Intelligence.
Big claim.
Huge.
Yeah.
Now, look, we're not going to get bogged down in the semantics of is it or is it not AGI.
Right.
But the fact that he used that term should tell you something.
Exactly.
What?
And he even acknowledges, those criticisms that it's just statistics and all that.
Right.
But he's pushing us to think beyond that.
Absolutely. So to dig into this, he actually uses this framework called it's 6 dimensions of intelligence.
Yeah.
And it comes from the psychology study from back in 1994.
Okay.
So these dimensions, and tell me if I miss one, are reasoning, planning, problem solving,
Yeah.
abstract thinking, comprehending complex ideas,
All right.
and learning quickly from experience.
That's all of them, I think.
Okay, good. Because there's a lot.
Yeah.
So basically, he's measuring GPT-4 against human intelligence.
Yes. That's the key here.
Not just can it crunch a bunch of numbers.
Exactly. It's not about how much data it's memorized or how well it performs on some standardized test.
Right.
It's about whether it demonstrates those qualities that we associate with intelligence, being adaptable.
Being creative.
Exactly.
Okay, so instead of just telling us, Bubeck shows us.
Love that.
Through all these really fascinating examples.
I love a good show, don't tell.
Exactly. So one of them is, and this is kind of funny, the rhyming proof.
Okay.
So he asks GPT-4 for a mathematical proof, right? He's a mathematician.
Of course, yeah.
Of infinite primes, which if you don't know what that is, don't worry about it.
That's fine. You're good.
But the catch is every single line has to rhyme.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's a big ask.
It sounds impossible, right? How do you even...
Yeah.
But get this, GPT-4 pulls it off.
No way.
Yeah, and not just a lame attempt.
Right.
A legit proof that makes sense mathematically and rhymes.
That's amazing.
I know.
That's really cool.
It's why...
What does that tell us? I mean, that's got to be a sign of some serious reasoning going on there.
Absolutely, and abstract thinking, right?
Totally. It's not just recalling information.
Yeah.
It's taking this knowledge and applying it in this totally novel and creative way.
Okay, and then it gets even weirder. There's this other experiment. He calls it the evolving unicorn.
Evolving unicorns.
So he asked GPT-4 to draw a unicorn.
Okay, I can see where this is going. Classic AI, draw me a picture.
Right. Seems pretty basic, but he wants it in TIC-Z code.
Oh, I see. So not just draw it, but code it.
Yes. And TIC-Z code, just so you know, it's this programming language specifically for making graphics.
And it's really hard to use.
It's notoriously difficult.
Even experienced programmers struggle with it.
It's like trying to paint a portrait with a single hair.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. So what happened?
So get this. GPT-4 pumps out these surprisingly not terrible unicorn drawings.
In TIC-Z code.
In TIC-Z code. But then here's where it gets even more interesting. As it's training,
yeah,
the unicorn drawings, they get better.
What?
It's learning.
No way, on its own.
Yeah, it's refining, it's iterating.
That's wild.
I know. But then they apply these safety filters.
Uh-oh.
And the unicorns take a turn.
For the worse.
For the worse.
Interesting.
It's this weird glimpse into how training these things works.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It shows how sensitive these models are to even tiny changes. And it really makes you think, how much do we really understand about how they learn? This is not just about drawing unicorns anymore. It suggests that it can learn and adapt over time.
Which is huge.
Yeah.
And it makes you wonder, what does it mean to be creative? If a machine can do this, are we redefining what creativity is?
It's a question we'll have to keep asking. And Bubeck has even more for us to unpack.
It really makes you think.
It really does.
Are we changing what it even means to be creative now?
And Bubeck, he doesn't stop there. He keeps going.
Okay.
He wants to see if GPT-4 can understand and use visual concepts in even more, like, complicated ways.
So he goes beyond just the drawing thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
He does this other experiment. It's called the 3D game screenshot.
Okay.
But instead of, just asking it to make the picture,
Yeah.
he throws a curveball. He wants a description.
A description of a picture.
So of a 3D game screenshot, yeah. But, like, super detailed.
Really?
Yeah, like what's in the scene, exactly where the buttons,
Wow.
everything. Like, crazy specific.
That's so interesting because it's like...
It's like asking for a blueprint,
Yeah.
but with words, not lines.
It has to understand what it's seeing, not
It
just
is.
like the patterns of it or whatever.
It has to understand the space, the textures.
Okay, so what happens?
GPT-4 nails it.
No way.
Gets it, like, scarily accurate.
That's insane.
It was a huge aha moment for Bubeck when he saw that.
Really?
Because it proved this wasn't just about pattern matching for GPT-4.
Right.
It gets the connection between, like, what it sees and how to use language for it. Imagine what we could do with that.
It could revolutionize so many things.
Design, architecture.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Building virtual words.
Exactly. Think about it. You could just describe what you want.
And it just makes it for you.
The possibilities are huge.
That's wild. And this might be a stretch, but does that also mean it can plan?
That's a great question, because it's not the step-by-step planning we usually think of,
Okay.
but it's able to take this complex thing, this 3D scene,
Yeah.
and break it down into smaller chunks of info. That's got to be some kind of planning, right?
So it's smart, but in a different way.
Maybe. Okay, so we've talked about GPT-4 being creative, understanding space.
But can it think logically?
Right. Can it actually analyze stuff?
The real test. So
Right.
Bubeck, what does he do?
Math, of course.
Of course. Makes sense.
He starts with a pretty simple problem. 7 by 4 plus 8 by AGI.
Okay, I even know that one.
Me too. But this is where we get a peek behind the curtain of how these AI models work.
Okay, I'm intrigued. So what happens? Does it get it right?
So first, it spits out the wrong answer. 120.
Not so smart after all.
Oh, wait, hold on. This is the cool part.
Okay.
Instead of just, like, moving on,
Yeah.
it starts to explain itself.
Explain itself. What do you mean?
It's like it's showing its work,
Oh, interesting.
like a student would on a math test. Here's how I got this answer.
Okay.
And as it's explaining, it realizes it messed up.
No way.
Yeah, and it corrects itself and gets the right answer, 92.
So it self-corrected.
It literally figured it out by talking it through.
That is wild. So it's not just blindly following rules then.
Right. It's not just stats.
Wow.
This shows a different kind of thinking. Like, it has to think about how it thinks. It's meta.
That's mind-blowing.
Right. And it makes you wonder, is this how we get to even smarter AI?
Like that ability to self-correct is the key or something.
Maybe. It's a whole new way to think about learning, for machines and for us.
Okay, so it's good at math, but is it perfect?
Well,
Okay.
about that, Bubeck gives GPT-4 another problem. This one involves changing just one number in an equation to make it equal 106.
Okay, sounds tricky. So how'd it do?
This is where it stumbles a bit.
Really?
It makes these leaps in logic that honestly make zero sense to a human.
Oh, so it's not a human brain after all.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that it has limitations, it can strategize and be creative, but this kind of planning, thinking multiple steps ahead,
Still tough for it.
yeah, like it's missing something we take for granted.
I mean, it makes you wonder, though, like,
Yeah,
how good is this thing going to get?
right. That's the big question, isn't it?
Because it has its quirks, you're saying.
It's not perfect, no. It can make mistakes.
Yeah, yeah.
It forgets things sometimes, like it has memory lapses, which is weird to think about.
That is strange to think about, yeah.
And it still depends on all that data it was trained on.
Right, right. So it's not like it's thinking on its own.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But even with those limitations, it still makes you kind of step back and go, whoa.
It does. It really does.
Like GPT-4, it really challenges what we think about intelligence, about what it even means.
It's like it's not just about
Yeah.
the brain, the biology of it anymore.
It's like we've stumbled onto a whole other way of thinking.
Yeah.
One that's not, billions of years of evolution,
Right.
but algorithms and code.
And that's what's so cool about what Bubeck is saying, right?
Yeah.
Is like, this is huge.
He is. He's basically saying, we got to stop saying it's just statistics.
Because it's clearly more than that.
Exactly. It's like we're missing the point if we get stuck on that.
It's like saying, oh, you're just a bunch of cells. So
Yeah.
it doesn't matter, but it obviously does.
We can't dismiss this, because if we do, we're going to miss this huge change.
In how we even understand, like, what thinking is.
Intelligence is.
Even what it means to be human.
Exactly. Because if a machine can do all this stuff, write poems, solve problems,
Learn.
learn, then where do we fit in? What makes us special?
It's a lot, and honestly, I think that's the point of this whole deep dive,
Yeah,
right?
totally.
This isn't just us geeking out about the latest tech.
Though we do love to do that.
Of course, but
Yeah.
it's more than
It's
that.
a call to action. Like Bubeck's saying, we got to talk about this stuff and not just,
Right, not just the scientist.
yeah, like everyone needs to be part of this.
Because this AI stuff, it's going to touch everything eventually.
Everything, yeah. How we work, learn, make art, everything.
Even how we understand our own minds. It's crazy.
So keep thinking about this stuff as you're out there in the world,
Don't just ignore it.
Yeah, don't get bogged down in all the tech jargon.
Right.
Ask the big questions. What's it all mean? What is intelligence? What's going to happen to us?
Because those questions, they're not just about AI anymore. They're about us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And who knows, maybe by searching for those answers, we'll actually learn something new about ourselves along the way.
I love that thought.
Me too.
Well, on that note, this has been an incredible deep dive. I feel like my brain is like fried in the best way possible.
Mine too. It's a good kind of fried.
It is. It is. But to our listeners, keep those questions in mind. And until next time, happy exploring the world of AI, because it's only getting more interesting from here.